Hey everybody, I'm so happy and honored to host Chad Harper today. How are you, Chad, today?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited about love, faith, and resilience.
Perfect. I'm so happy to see you. Um, Today it's just amazing. I have so much respect for everything that you are doing. You are an artist, a producer, a filmmaker, an activist. Like you wear so many hats, but I love the fact that when you talk about yourself, you say that you are a humanitarian. So for the
Yes.
ones who don't know you, Chad, can you tell me a little bit who is Chad as an artist? Like, how did you get into music?
Oh, I got into music at a young age. I would say, I have to say, when first of all, I'm 52 years old,
Wow.
so let me just say that I remember when Rapper's Delight first hit the airwaves in like 1980. I was just a kid, like 8 years old, and I remember hearing that first hip hop song on the radio, and how it just like it just hit my brain, it hit my spirit, it hit my soul. And then after that, I think the next song was Billie Jean. And once again, when I heard Billie Jean, I just felt like a certain, just like cosmic reaction in my body. It was like something
Wow.
about like music. It just moves me. So around the age of I think 12, I started breakdancing.
Okay.
Um, and around 14, I wrote my first rhyme. And I didn't really record a song until I got to college. When I went to university, and like probably second year, like 1990, maybe something like that, 91. It's the first time I
Mhm.
recorded a song,
Okay.
and just hearing my voice on a record, I was just like, wow. You know what I mean? I felt like if
Mm.
I was a woman, this is what giving birth would feel like. You know what I mean? Like to create something like my thoughts and my feelings are now
Mm.
out in the universe. So it was just like, yeah, I was addicted, from that point on, you know.
Do you still have your first song?
No, no. I wish I did. I wish I did, but no, I don't. Yeah, we recorded like two or three songs, and then I was in a group with a friend of mine, and some he just wasn't as committed, so he kind of quit. So then I stopped, but I stopped recording, but I always wrote. And then when I moved to New York in '98, and I started to record solo,
Mm.
um, yeah, I found a producer, and even though he was a producer, I always had like visions of the type of music that I would want to record. So I would give him insight, try to make a beat like this with a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I was always involved in the production process,
Okay.
um, even just as an MC, which eventually led me into producing, you know. But yeah, in 1998, when I got to New York and really started to record regularly, I mean, I would literally like I was a bartender, and I would take half my tips every night and just like, okay, this is studio time, this is rent and food, this is studio, this is rent and food. You know what I mean? It was
Wow.
just really serious for me, where a lot of guys were like hanging out, going out on dates with girls, and I was like, that's cool, but like I gotta get this music. You know what I mean? I care about the
Mm.
ladies too, but like music is first. I was like, nah, music is number one. So,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. And did you
yeah.
ever have like an opportunity to sign in a record label or something?
Yes, I did. I recorded, I signed, well, yeah, no, no. So a friend of mine, he had a record label called Backyard Records, which had backing from Sony Records. This was like in the late '90s when like Puffy was so huge, and all these little boutique labels under the majors were popping up everywhere. And a friend of mine had a label called Backyard Records, and they got money from Sony to sign three artists, and I was their third artist. So I had recorded a demo.
Wow.
They loved it, and they were like, "Yo, we're bringing you on board. You're our next artist. You're the last artist for our boutique label. It's called Backyard Records out of Brooklyn." The first two artists they released did not do well at all, and Sony contacted them and were like, we're not feeling your choice of artist here, and they pulled the money on my project. So it was like, yeah, I had that record deal on the table, but it was through imprint, of Sony, and then so the money got pulled, so nothing actually progressed. Yeah,
Mm. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So the topic of the day is how your passion leads you to transmission. And you created this organization, Hip Hop Saves Lives, that is
Mhm.
changing the life of thousands of people worldwide. But can you tell me first how hip hop saved your life?
Oh man, yeah. Definitely as a kid, definitely as a kid growing up, trouble in the home with the parents. The marriage wasn't good. Um, this was like, this is the 80s. It's like there's no therapy for like, black
Mm,
kids. You know what I mean?
yes.
Um, so it was just a pen and a pad, getting my thoughts and feelings out on paper, and then rapping it out about how I felt about life, about family, about society, about school. You know what I mean? That when I say like hip hop saved my life, it's really like it. It was like therapy for me. It kind of like helped me understand my thoughts and feelings about life and about what I was going through as a teenager. You know,
Okay.
so having that outlet gave me a lot of clarity, and then it gave me vision, and yeah, it was just like, it was community. You know what I mean? So sometimes when you're a lost kid, you don't really know when you fit in, and then you meet other homies that rhyme, or other kids that break dance, or other kids that are just like obsessed with like KRS One, Public Enemy, and
Mm.
other kids who want to beatbox, or other kids who want to freestyle. It was just like, oh my,
Wow.
these are my people.
Really?
So it's like, okay, I'm not, you
Mm.
know,
Not
I
alone
know who
anymore.
I'm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You don't feel alone. You have that community. You have that, and those are the people that I end up becoming close with, and building like strong, like, childhood relationships with, and things like that. So it gave me community, and then once hip hop started to get bigger, and we weren't just rappers, but we were record executives. We had our own labels, and it gave me vision of like, oh, I could build a life in this. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So yeah, it went from like being my therapist to being my community to like, wait a minute, there's a career here. So it gave me vision, it gave me drive, it gave me determination to like want to like
Wow.
build a career. So I would say it saved my life a couple of times.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing because we come from different continents. Like you were really in the country of the birth of hip hop, but you know, it's funny how I can feel what you are saying. Like in the sense that for me, hip hop saved my life because, as you say, travel in the house. I hate school, and when I met at 14 years old some big brothers of my neighborhood, they introduced me in this place when I could record for free, when they could make me an instrumental, some beats for free, and they were training me. And then after they were organizing open mic, and as you say, it gives you a purpose and it gives you the sense of community and family. Out of Sudan, you have these people who understand you. Like
Yeah.
we all have this passion and we all want to make it and we all want to share our burning heart. And I
Hmm.
love this about hip hop. I truly love this about our community. And for me, I love the fact that, like there are some big brothers and big sisters who always drive us. And I think like when we come from suburbs, we have these African values, how yeah, our love transmission. Your big brother teach you, and then you teach you to your little brother, and um,
Hmm.
and yes, I truly love everything about this. And every time, I have a big decision to make, even in my life, when it concerns to my work on my personal life, I think about what I've learned when I was 14, when they were driving me, and all the values and principles that they offer me. And I truly love the fact that in 2006, can you talk to me about how everything happened? How did you get into transmission?
Yeah, wow. I guess I was, I had finished, I was finishing an album, and I was the head bartender at this French lounge, like a block away from Central Park.
Okay.
And this organization came in called Charity Water, and they were like, "Hey, these are, they gave me the instructions. Like the general manager said, oh, talk to this person, and these are the drinks that we're serving. And this is the event that's going on. This is the organization. This is your point person." So I'm just conversating with this person, and they're telling me about like Charity Water, and we do these cocktail parties to raise money for clean water wells in Africa,
Mm,
and they wanted me and my staff to help put the images up on the wall. And so that it was just like one night. It was one night working with this organization and understanding the lack of clean water around the world and how it really affects places like Africa and India and specific areas, in the Middle East. But their focus at the time was only Africa,
okay.
and it was just the wisdom and knowledge that I learned about this, like this really deep need for clean water, you know, and it
Mm,
just really touched me. And they were a new organization, and I was like, hey, like at the end of the event, I was like, hey, to the point person, I was like, I think I want to volunteer for you guys, and on my days off, kind of help out with other events that you guys have around the city. And they're like, okay, great. So I signed up. I think I was one of their first. I think it was either second or third event when they did it at the bar that I was working on, at French Lounge.
okay.
So I was one of the original volunteers that was working regularly with them. And yeah, I was just moved to write a song based on all the information that they were sharing at their exhibits and put it into like a hip hop song. And so I recorded this song, like, If Everybody Cares. And the idea was if everybody cared, how simple it would be to solve these major world issues like hunger and poverty, and but specifically for this one, for lack of clean water. So I wrote this song, recorded it, and donated it to them as like, this could be a theme song if you guys like it. And they were like, okay, great. So then I pressed up a bunch of CDs, and I told my mom about it, and she was like, people who donate to charities, they don't listen to hip hop music. You make sure you print out those lyrics on sheets
Mm,
of paper, so when someone buys a CD, they can read the lyrics. Because
okay.
she was like, most people who donate to charities don't listen to hip hop. I was like, okay, mom. So I printed out all these the lyrics on sheets. So at
Good
the
idea.
event, like, yeah, the DJ would play the song, and then they would say, hey, this is a theme song by our volunteer Chad Harper. Go meet him. If you want, he can sign the copy of your CD. So I was like sitting like outside the DJ booth, and people were coming up and buying the CD and asking me to sign the CD, and I would give them the lyrics.
Oh,
And I remember some people just like standing there reading over the lyrics, and like some people would start to cry because they had no idea that like this issue really existed, and 5,000 people died a day, or and
yes.
how many children it affected.
Yes.
So people were like asking for my autograph and asking to take pictures with me, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like this is,
Mm,
you know, at their events, I was like a local celebrity, you know,
wow. Living the
and
dream.
yeah, and I was like, "Wow, this is the most attention I've ever got for any of the songs that I've recorded." I was like, "Yo, I kind of enjoy signing autographs and people wanting to take pictures with me. I mean, like, you're an artist because you have something inside you that you want
Yes.
to share with the world, but the world appreciating your art is like, we want
Mm.
that too. You know what I mean?
Yes. And you have the
So
real message also.
yeah. So I decided to continue. Like, okay, after working with this charity, I'll look up other charities that I really admire, make theme songs for them, and just like kind of donate it. And the next charity was my brother-in-law's charity. He had this charity called Break the Chain. Well, it was a program called Break the Chain. The charity was called something else, but the idea was like kids who have a parent in prison are like 70% more likely to end up in prison themselves, and how we have to break this chain. So
Mm.
I wrote and recorded a song called Break the Chain,
Okay.
and then I was like, well, I want to go a step further. I want to shoot a music video for this song.
Okay.
So I hired a team to shoot a music video. Cost me a couple $1,000. I had a videographer and an editor, and then a guy who was shooting the behind the scenes making of the video.
Oh,
And then I wrote a script, and for some reason I can't really remember why, but I wanted a video that was like a short movie. I didn't want the regular rapper videos, like, me just with the mic. I wanted like
yes.
something that told a story.
Oh,
So this video is somewhere. It's still on YouTube. It's called Break the Chain. And man, that experience of shooting that music video and sharing it with my brother-in-law and the people from his organization that were working with him, once again, like that, my brother-in-law and my sister was married to a guy. They lived in DC, so I traveled down to DC. They had a
okay.
big event. They launched the music. They had the first screening of the music video on a giant screen. This is our theme song, and it was
Oh,
like, oh wow, my career is actually really growing from doing this humanitarian hip hop, much
mm,
more than like the commercial stuff that I was doing, trying to follow the trends of the industry.
mm.
I was just like on my own lane. And that was just another beautiful experience, like knowing that like a dozen people put together an event that invited a couple hundred people all to listen. Like it was an event for their organization, but the
Okay.
main part of the event was like the release of my music video, and I'm just like, okay, and like it was another like just really dope experience. And I always tell people like I didn't really start Hip Hop Saves Lives. It started on its own. I just had this one idea
Mm.
because I was moved to help charity water, and then it just snowballed from there. And I went another organization.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was a couple of years where, like maybe like 2008 to 2011, I wanted to produce events for humanitarian causes, and then have other hip hop artists that do like conscious hip hop to
Mhm.
perform and raise money for these different charities. I'm not sure
Okay.
really why I stepped away from recording songs for charities for a couple of years, but then I went back to that. And when I went back to it in 2011, I decided I didn't want to do this alone. I wanted to do this with the community.
Mm.
So I hit up all my friends who were like rappers, singers, producers. And I was like, yo, I'm booking studio time every day, Monday through Friday, from like 10 a.m. to like 2 p.m. And then I gotta
Mm.
go and like bartend. Or I
Okay.
think I was managing restaurants at that point, but it was I was like, every single day we're gonna come to the studio and we're gonna find a different humanitarian to write and record a song about. So literally in those 4 hours, there'd be three, four, five, six artists. We would all collaborate, write and record, and there would be a song
Mm.
done by the end of those 4 hours. Sometimes it was 5 hours.
Oh,
So I created this campaign for like 2.5 months, you know,
okay.
and just inviting artists off from. I mean, artists came from Jersey, from Queens, from the Bronx, people recording in
Crazy.
Brooklyn, and like sometimes artists would come for like 3 or 4 days, and then they would not come, and then some artists would come for like 3 weeks. every day just to and then other artists were telling other artists. People would show up at the studio. I didn't even know who these people were. They'd be like, yo, so and so told me to come through. You guys doing a song every day. And I'm like, yeah, come on in. So then I was just meeting all these, and we recorded like 50 songs in like a
And
really
at that
short
time,
amount.
there are no social networks, so everything is with your talent.
Yes, yes, yes. So we recorded all these songs. Um, and I think that's when Facebook was just starting to get big. This was like 2011.
Okay.
And I started to put the songs out. Um, I started to put the songs out, and I had met a teacher on the train who worked at a junior high school, and she was like, and I told her about my project. She was reading a book about this humanitarian guy who worked in Haiti, and I was just really interested in this book, so we started talking on the train, and we exchanged numbers, and then I told her about my program, and then she was like, "Yeah, I have a teacher at the school who does a hip hop program after school, just rapping with the kids and helping the kids write lyrics, but they have no studio." So the teacher hit me up, was like, "Yo, can I bring a couple of kids to your studio? Can you do a Saturday session? Because I only did Monday through Friday sessions. Can you do a Saturday session so a couple of the kids could come through?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool, but I'm actually not going to be there because I have to do a double that Saturday." So one of my other homies went to oversee the session.
Okay.
So then that Monday, he went to the school and shared the three songs that these three kids from his after school program had
Wow.
done at the studio. And the principal calls me and he's like, "Yo, writing hip hop songs about humanitarians and humanitarian causes, this is an after school program." He's like, "Make a curriculum and I'll hire you to do this. I'll pay you to make songs for kids." So here I am managing a restaurant, and I'm just like, write
Wow.
a curriculum. I was like, "What's a curriculum?" I mean, I know how to make a martini. I don't know how to make a curriculum.
Wow.
So I had to Google this, figure
No
out what a
way.
curriculum was, and I made it. I just put something together, put some bullet points down. Blah, blah, blah. I just copied and pasted something I got from Google. Went back and met with him, and he was like, "This is great. You're gonna start January 5th, 2012." This was like
No
maybe
way.
November 2011, and he was like, "Yo,
Wow.
January 5th, 2012, you're gonna come to my junior high school, and you're gonna start." So that was it. So now I was like, "Well, I went from like writing these humanitarian songs to like people wanting to autograph and take pictures with me, and then now I'm getting paid to make
Yes.
music with kids." And I was just like,
Yes.
"Yo, the career is just like I said, I didn't start Hip Hop Saves Lives. I just made that one decision to make that one song, the Charity Water, and everything just fell in place after that. It was just like it was moving on its own. So now I got this after school program with these kids, and I'm getting paid to make music. And then, but I was late to work every day because I was managing this restaurant, and the owner was like, "Yo, you been an hour late to work every day. What's going on?" I was like, "Yo,
Wow.
I started my own company. It's called Hip Hop Saves Lives, and we're teaching kids after school." He was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's great. You want this job or not?" So now I was like, "Yo, like, you know what I mean? Can the assistant manager like hold things down until I get to work?" And he was like, "No, no, no. You're the manager. I need you here on time." And I was like, "All right,
Oh.
well, I give you my 2 weeks." And he was like, "You're making enough money from this after school program to pay rent and survive?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "So why are you gonna quit?" And I was like, "Because that's my dream to get paid to make music. I don't care if
Mm.
listen, if I gotta get evicted, at least I'm still getting paid to make music. I don't care." So he was like, "Wow, okay." So I quit,
Wow.
and I was just like, I'll eat Roman noodles. I'll eat pasta every day with cheese sauce. I don't care. I got to keep this going. So you know what I mean? It didn't matter. And within like
How
three
did you do?
months, I was behind on rent for like 3 months, and I was like, man, something got to hit. So, but I'm just focused. I'm working with the kids. I'm doing my thing, and that principal started to share the songs. And I hired a friend of mine who was born and raised in Paris. He's a Haitian guy named Joel Sansilion. Shout out to him because I was like, I don't want to just write songs and record songs with the kids. I want a music video for every song.
Mm.
So, because I was like, when people see the videos, it'll go a lot further. I could have survived off what I was paying me, but I was splitting my salary with the videographer and editor, so the kids would have a music video to see
Oh,
themselves on YouTube to get more excited to come to the program.
oh my
And
God.
so yeah, the principal hit me up one day. He was like, "Yo, I started sharing your videos with all the teachers at the school,
Uh-huh.
and a couple other principals hit me up, and they want you to come to their school." And it never stopped. It never stopped. Caught up on rent, started making real money. Not only schools hired us, but detention centers, community centers,
Mm.
library. I had a contract with Queens Library where, I mean, for months, I had contracts with New York City detention centers, New York City kids on probation, um, anywhere there was kids in New York City, they would hire me to come in and work with the
Everyone's
kids,
like
work with the kids.
kids.
You know what I'm saying? Like all the bad kids. I mean, I went from working with like 10-year-old kids who were like, the little troublemakers to like working with like 15-year-old like killers and gang members and like,
Mm.
man, I worked with all types of kids all across New York City, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, Brooklyn, everywhere. And
Wow.
New York being that big global hub that it is, I got hired by like big organizations
Okay.
to like, hey, listen, we have an office in New York, but we're actually from Switzerland, or we are
Mm.
from, and they were flying me out to do workshops, and I'm just like, why would you fly me from New York City to Switzerland? You can't. I mean, I'm sure kids do hip hop in Switzerland. No, we want you. We want you. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And I really learned there was something special about my just like my passion for this, where
Yes.
people are like, yeah, we can get other people to make humanitarian songs with
But
kids,
we want
but
you.
yeah, yeah, they just kept telling me, no, we want you to do it. We want you to do it. They was
Mm.
flying me to different Caribbean islands to do work. I mean, it was everywhere.
I love the
So it just,
fact, that you say, like, I believe in my dream, in my passion, in my journey, and I'm going to quit that job that I need because I trust the process so much. I love
yeah,
this part of the story. And then when you liberate this energy, like everything is coming now.
oh yeah, everything, because I no longer had any other distractions. It was like wake
Yeah.
up, music all day,
Yes.
every day. You know what I mean? And even though
Yes.
I couldn't afford to pay the rent, I was like, something will work out. Something will work. I was like, I'm putting too much energy in one direction for it not to work out. Like the
Mm.
universe just it can't deny me, you know? And
Yes.
like the doors just started opening, more doors, more doors, more doors. Then like I remember like a year after no, not even a year, 4 months after I started with the schools, I was taking I was taking like 20 kids from a really poor neighborhood in the Bronx to perform their song at the United Nations headquarters in New York City. Like things I could never
Oh.
even have thought of were happening. Things, people like, make a vision board. That wasn't on my
Yes.
vision board. That wasn't even in my mind. Things were happening that
Oh.
I hadn't even thought about, you know?
Mm.
Yeah.
This is so inspiring because you have something in your mind, but God, the universe have always better for you.
Way better. Like for me, I was like, I just want to get paid to make music. I didn't plan on traveling the world. I didn't plan on like performing at the United Nations. I never thought about people would fly me to different continents. That wasn't even in my head. That was like, you know what I mean? The higher power, the universe just had like their own plans for it. And that's why I say like I didn't really start hip hop stage lives. It was like me deciding to make that song, and then once I got this little small paycheck, I was like, I don't care how small that paycheck is, I'm gonna take this and and figure everything else out. You know.
And another question that I have for you, how transmission change you? Because when you are doing something for people, it's somehow you receive even more than what you are giving, you know? So how
Hmm.
does the transmission transcend you?
Wow, like I would say, with that ability, I remember when that first woman cried at the charity water event,
Mm.
and I remember another guy who read the lyrics for my song, and he was like, "How much does it cost to build a water well?" And I was like, $4,000. And he was like, "I'm going to write you a check right now." And I was just like, and that guy, he read my lyrics and then he wrote a check for $4,000. So there's a village somewhere in Africa that got clean water
Mm.
because that one guy read my lyrics. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And when you have like,
I
when
have
you
chills right now.
realize,
I'm
yeah,
breathing.
yeah, when you realize that something you're doing is actually changing people's lives, you
Mm.
know what I mean? Like in like a groundbreaking way. Like when I understood how like people drink dirty water and they get these diseases and they die, and it affects kids under the age of 5, and then to have that moment of like this guy, I'm paying for a water well, and also when I got into the classroom, man, I remember kids that would come into the after school program that would be so insecure,
Mm.
so self conscious, you know,
Mm.
and they would end up being like the dopest rapper in the school. And when like that video would come out on Friday, and the principal, like we had this one principal every Friday, he would have uh, uh, an assembly. All the kids and all the teachers had to come to this Friday assembly, and he would, address all the things that happened in the week, and then he would also play our song and music video that we recorded in our program that week.
Okay.
And I remember like the nerdiest kids, and to see them up on this giant screen, and then for the entire school to jump up and applaud them, and just like looking at a kid and watching their self-esteem grow in that moment,
Yes.
like that transformation,
Mm.
I can't even put it into words on like how that affects me.
Mm.
Like the work that I'm doing is changing people's lives. For me, I can't really put it into words.
Mm.
It's, you know what I mean. I mean, the only way I could describe it is like how I describe hip hop at the beginning. When I first heard my first song, it's like I'm literally giving birth. Like if I was a woman, this
Yes.
this would be the closest thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like my art is changing that child's life. It's
Yes.
building their self esteem. It's giving them self confidence. It's
I,
giving people clean water. You know.
yes. I can tell you on the other side, how do you feel? Because, when I started music, my parents did not want me to do music. So my support were my big brothers, big sister, and they were
Mhm.
telling me, yeah, come to the studio. We're going to record your song. And I was not trusting myself. I was scared, to just be proud of my work, and they were always telling me, hey, you have talent, you can do it, trust yourself. And I
Mhm.
remember that I will always remember this day, because when I created my music label, I wanted to give back, because for me it's impossible to receive without giving back. So I decided to create
Mhm.
my label to help other kids who, like me, did not trust themselves, were shy, and who were doing music in their bedroom. But then when I started,
Mhm.
I had all of this complication, because, I didn't know that manager was a job. I thought that you were telling to people to do something and they will do it. But, I had I get into many troubles, because sometimes it's part of life when you want to help people. Sometimes you give your hand and they take your arms, and at one moment, I was so desperate. I was at my big brother's place, and I was like, I did so many things and it's not working out and it's not doing this. And he told me, like, you did the right thing anyway, and I know you are a good person. And
Mhm.
this word changed my mind. And when I came back home, I start to look at myself in the mirror and I start to list all of my qualities, and say, hey,
Mm.
I'm a good person, I'm nice, I'm beautiful, I have talent, and no. And then, thanks to them, I ended
Mm.
to love myself. So when you say,
Yeah.
I don't know, like the impact of like what I did, like my work to the kids, I can tell you that it changed your whole mindset, your whole life after this, because when you start to know your value, to know your worth, to trust yourself, to love yourself, your life switch literally at 360 degrees, because
Yeah.
everything starts with confidence. When you have the confidence to say, hey, I'm proud of my work. So now you want to
Hmm.
do better and bigger. So I start to do open mics, and then from out of nowhere, I was doing big concert, big first part, interview on TV, festival, and then I start to live the dream and to export my music in other country. But to the basic, it's someone who told me, hey, you can do this, you got this. So yes,
Yeah.
it's so important. And I love the fact that you also focus on the youth, because you know that youth are the future. And can you tell me more about how you wish you had, like what you are doing right now and you wish you had, like, for example, did you wish to have this kind of program at your school also?
Oh yeah. I mean, if I had had this, growing up, it would have been life changing. Absolutely. And I always tell people that like I'm actually hip hop saves lives is in the business of building self esteem because um, for me growing up and having low self esteem and feeling lost, and then hip hop give me that community and giving me that like because hip hop is not just a genre of music.
Yes.
It's a sport because it's a competition as well, but it's a
Mm,
friendly competition and it pushes you
mm,
to be your best, but it also pushes you to stay original and unique and understand that like your voice and your talents and your abilities focus on them. Don't copy something else, because I got into hip hop in the early 80s when you had to be different. Run DMC could not be like LL Cool J, and LL Cool J could not sound like Big Daddy Kane. So
yes.
that was a beautiful thing, was like accept your voice and accept your talents and accept your abilities and be the best version of yourself, you know. So yeah, if I could have had that growing up, childhood just would have been a whole lot better, to say the least. Childhood would have been a whole lot better, and I would have went into my 20s with a lot more self confidence and a lot more self esteem. So
Mm,
for me, going back to the schools and working with these young kids, I can identify with a lot of them. I can see the low self esteem, and
mm,
that's why I can witness when their self esteem grows. And I tell a lot of people, so many kids, the first time they've ever recorded, I've had thousands of kids I've worked with who've never recorded a song. And when you press that play and they hear their voice on a song for the first time and their eyes light up. I've had kids like even cry, like, I can't believe that's my voice. I can't believe I did that.
oh,
And I've had parents call me. I've had parents come to the school and be like, yo, just want to thank you for doing what you're doing with
oh,
my kid. I never knew my kid had that talent. And I
oh,
remember one time I'm walking through this high school and this grown man walks up to me, puts his arm on my shoulder, and he just hugs me. And I was like, yo, what's up?
mm,
He was like, yo, I recognize you from the videos. You're the teacher that teaches my kid. And he just
oh,
grabbed me and he hugged me and he was like, yo, man, thank you for changing my kid's life. And I was like, yeah. And it's just like moments like that, like you'll never forget.
oh.
Yeah.
It's just crazy, Chad. Everything that you did, that you do, and that you're gonna do in this world, you let your footprint, and I just enjoy everything. And can you tell me to end? today? Where are you and what you are doing right now?
Yes, I'm actually in Gambia, and I did a project last year in Gambia about the Kunta Kinte story, which is like from the book and miniseries Roots that first kind of really opened the United States and even the world's attention to the transatlantic slave trade. So I'm back here doing a little bit more research on that because Gambia is a if you look at Gambia on the map, it's like the smallest country in Africa. And the country is literally cut out around a river. And the story is because it's a small country within Senegal. And the French had colonized this area, but the British came and either fought the French. I'm not sure of the full story how the British got this river, but the British wanted this particular river because they could sail upstream inland and take Africans on their own without having to pay the slave traders. So some people say like up to 15% of Black Americans came from this one river. Um, so I'm doing some more research and understanding about the history of the transatlantic slave trade here in Gambia. Um, and Hip Hop Saves Lives, we're launching our own TV show called Hip Hop Saves. It's a flagship show called Hip Hop Saves Lives, and in that show, we're gonna show the making of the songs and music videos and documentaries of that's gonna be featured in our show. So the other part of the project that I'm doing here is, you know, there's a lot of Africans that are trying to get to Europe and they travel from country to country and they experience like these horrific type situations trying to cross Europe. And before I was in Gambia, I was in Morocco for 3 weeks and I interviewed 3 or 4 guys, I think 3 guys from Cameroon that traveled from Cameroon all the way up to Morocco trying to get to Spain.
Wow.
And it's like, this is kind of like, um, I don't know. I feel like this transatlantic slave trade was when Africans were taken from their countries and moved to the American continent as slaves. But now, because of the extreme poverty that affects certain parts of Africa, you have these people going on this long journey trying to
Yes.
get, and like this is a new story that I feel like the world is not paying enough attention to. So there's a lot
Yes.
of guys in Gambia, and here in Gambia they call it the back way, which is like crossing these borders and paying for rides and hitchhiking and getting smuggled, and trying to get into Europe. So I met a guy today that actually made it. He made it to Europe. He was in the UK, and then he
Okay.
decided to come back home to Gambia and live in his
Wow.
home country. And the guys that I interviewed in Morocco, they've been stuck there for many years. I met this one
Yes.
guy. He's like, I've tried to get from Morocco to Spain 6 times. All 6 times, our boat got like cut off by security. And he
Yes.
was like, when these European guards catch you on the boat, they know that you've saved up money, for a year or 2 or 3 years. And when they capture you on that boat, they strip you of everything. They take all your money, they take your cell
Yes.
phone, and they just dump you back in Morocco somewhere, not even close to where you came from,
Mm.
to just punish you to start all over. And
Mm.
he was like, if I knew how hard it was going to be, I would have stayed in Cameroon because
Yes.
life in Cameroon is better than being trapped in Morocco.
Mm.
So this is like the the first episode to my TV show, Hip Hop Saves Lives TV, is tackling this really tough issue. So I recorded a song with these guys in Morocco. Um,
Crazy.
yeah, and they're rapping about the experience of travel. I mean,
Wow.
like these guys told stories of how, like in the desert, you got to sleep at night. You sleep during the day. You hide. You find shelter somewhere. Sleep all day. Walk all night. Crossing borders. So yeah, they recorded a song called hold on, let me I want to get the name of this song correctly.
Yes.
It's
Thanks God they are still alive to testify of their journey.
yeah, but the sad thing is they all know people who died. They all know
Yeah.
people who didn't make it, you know.
Yes, of
And they
course.
tell these, yeah. I'll send you the songs. I have to look it up.
Okay. Perfect.
But that they're rapping in French, so I definitely want to send that to you. And then I'm actually
Perfect.
because they picked the beat off of YouTube. I was like, just find a beat on YouTube you like, and then I'll send it to my engineer, and we'll create a brand new beat because I want to put the song out on
Yes.
like iTunes and Apple Music and all that. And we shot a music
Mm.
video. So my first episode of Hip Hop Saves Lives TV is tackling this new thing and helping Africans understand like this this life threatening journey that you're trying to go on to get to Europe. Over 90% of the people don't make it. Some die, some get trapped.
Okay.
Like
I found you
there's a
again.
huge huh?
I found you again, so it was disconnect for 2 minutes.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, so anyway, your long story short, that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
Is telling these stories from the Gambia and Morocco because, I want people like down here in Gambia to know the true realities of the thousands of Africans that are trapped in Morocco who
Mm.
haven't got across the border. They've been there for years,
Yes.
struggling and trying to get across. And yeah, I just want to help Africans really have a full understanding of what that journey is like and make better decisions. And if there's better ways to help your country over trying to get to Europe. So that's the project that we're currently working on.
Oh, okay. Wow. It's truly amazing how, you start with this clean water, you worked with kids, now you work with refugees or people who try to, make it, to survive, to travel, to have find a better place to live. And I really, I'm so honored, to have your testimony today. And I love the fact that today, we can record our voices, we can record who we are in this moment, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad that today we, we are in February, the 12th of February 2024, we record who we are today, and next year it will be something different. In 10 years, we will be a different person, and we will have met again so many people in the whole world. So can you please share to end like a last word, a last advice, a last anecdote, something?
Yeah, I just want to say, number one, to all the kids out there, like all of you are artists. I mean, we all have creativity in us, whether it's painting, whether it's poetry, whether it's rapping, singing, whether it's fashion design. I think it's important for every child to do art at
Yeah.
all ages, not just from coloring books to three to what I mean, to fashion design or video directing or like just find art in your life. And I think when you take that creative spirit from within and you bring it out into the world, it will really transform your life.
Mm.
So I just want to leave everybody with that. There's an artist in all of us, and find that artist in you and take care of that artist and make some type of art any way possible. Just create.
Okay, just create. We're gonna leave you on this note. Just create. Thank you so much, Chad. I'm so honored to have you host you for the third episode of Love, Faith, Resilience. I wish you all of the best for what you're gonna create, and just it's only love. At the end of the day, it's only love. So thank you for sharing your love for music and your passion for human beings. And thank you so much again.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you, sister.
Ciao. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.